1, 2, 3, 4.
What's going on, everybody? It's Dot Bets. We're checking back in. We got episode 4 of On the Dot podcast coming your way. We appreciate you guys tuning in. This is your sports betting podcast that will give you insights and strategies on how to get proven long-term results in the sports gambling industry. As always, we got my co-host at Sidekick Picks. How are we feeling tonight?
Real good. We're finally about to talk about the best division in football. So,
as maybe you guys know, Sidekick is a Colts fan, so he might be a little bit biased tonight as we break down the AFC South this evening, and we talk about an important aspect of sports gambling is dealing with failure, and that is dealing with a lot of cold streaks because. I mean, you know it. I know it. We've all been there. They are inevitable. So we'll give you guys some tips when you are going through them to go ahead and get out of them or don't try to be in them at all. So we'll see. But before we get going, as always, check out props.cash. Put real-time data behind your picks. Their service in the props industry right now is top notch. I would put their product against anybody else's in the industry. And we are throwing you guys a promo code on the dot, 25% off the first monthly purchase. And then also we are sweetening the deal. As always, we're throwing a month free of VIP your way, both Sidekick and myself. So what are you waiting for? Sign up for props.cash. Use that on the dot promo code. All right, let's get into it. Sidekick, I know we've been there before. How do you deal with some failure and some cold streaks?
Yeah, it's a good topic we got today. Everyone deals with it a little differently. I think for me personally, it depends on the sport. Like with baseball currently, it's such a long season that I'm okay taking a day or two off. I'm also okay with if I don't like the slate to not play anything. Mm-hmm. So especially when you're in that cold streak, trying not to force anything and go back to what you found success with. Sometimes I'll even switch up the props that I'm targeting. So especially early on, maybe I don't have success with a certain prop. So maybe I'm just not good at reading that type of prop. So right. I'll try to find something else that works and try to fine tune that. Like last year, I was really good at no run first inning. And at the start of this season, I couldn't hit any of them. And now it's starting to average out a little bit. So I know I can hit it. So I try to stay the course, but definitely backing off the number of plays I put out there.
That's definitely a smart key there. One that I want to throw out is realizing that the best gamblers in the entire world are really, their winning percentage is around 53 to 55%. So if you think about that, they are barely skimming by with, if you're right there and you're thinking you're going to have a 60-40 split there. I mean, I just find it very, very hard. And I had to come to realize early on that you're just going to lose and you just got to deal with it. Bad beats happen. Some close calls happen. They fall your way. Sometimes they don't. You just got to make sure it doesn't. I tell the Discord this all the time. Get your emotions out of it. Once you get your emotions out of sports betting, it cures so much. Everybody that I've talked to long term, it's like they don't try to watch the games. They're not trying to be live betting every single bet, or every single game. You just cannot be successful that way. You got to take the emotions out of it, and you got to make sure you're getting the right number. So that's one. You got any other ones that you do?
I mean, that's pretty much the gist of it. Is just like with college basketball, I know I can cap it pretty well. So I'm gonna play every slate. And like with NFL, it's a little different too, because you only have a few days a week where you actually cap it. So I think strategies are going to be different with each sport that you're betting.
Yep, great point. Because in football, if you have a losing week, you think about it all week long. If you have a bad night in MLB, hey, they got 13 more games tomorrow. Right. You're good to go. So yeah, 100%. That's a great point there. It does suck when you have a bad week in NFL because it just lingers. But remember, take those emotions out. One last thing I want to say, or a couple last things. Want to reiterate the motto. I know my guys in VIP and the Discord know it, that you're only as good as your next bet. So that takes the highs and the lows out of it. We stay the course. We stay even keeled. I used to be a pitcher, used to get all hot-headed if I sucked in a game. And one day a coach was like, hey, man, you got to just get your temper under control. And I'm like, okay, sounds good. And he's like, just be even keeled the entire game, no matter what. Don't show any emotions. Yeah. So let's translate that to sports betting. It's worked out. And then another one.
I have one more tip. Maybe tracking your bets too. So get on Excel, figure it out a little bit, put down the different types of bets that you're taking, and weed out the ones you're not good at.
Yeah, very true. Yeah, because I got into sport or to prop betting, and that was a whole different ball game. You had to look at a million different things to get well at that, and then you can kind of flip a coin and get a money line play, right? For the most part. But when you're going to a props, you got to have your you're an analyst, your stats, your trend. They got to be in line. So yeah, so we will discuss that on a different episode. We're going to go deep diving in how we attack prop betting. But last thing I want to say is kind of what Sidekick reiterated first. It's okay to take breaks. It's a mental grind when you're betting every single day. I know some of us as cappers try to outdo one another. We got subscribers. Sometimes the best thing to do is just take a 1 day break, couple day break, whatever it needs to be for you. 100% take that. Today I didn't. There is it's a couple days ago. Sorry, the All-Star game. I didn't even look at the lines. Didn't even open DraftKings. Didn't open any FanDuel. Nothing. And it was refreshing. It was so refreshing. So ready to get back after the MLB there. But just the mental side of betting. Always make sure you guys are able to take a break when needed. All right. So we're dealing with failure. We want to know how you guys deal with it as well. Leave a comment if you're watching on YouTube. Also hit that subscribe button. And if you're on Spotify or iTunes, hit us up on Twitter. Send us a DM. We'd love to hear from you guys, or join the free Discord. All right. To the AFC South. Probably one of the easier divisions to predict, as kind of like the AFC East. We got the Colts, we got the Titans, the Jaguars, and the Texans. I'm going to let you start out with your Colts. Give us all the knowledge that you have of the Colts, where they finish, why they finished there, and I kind of know exactly what you're going to say here.
Well, I've been kind of heartbroken on the Colts the past couple of years. Every year I'm like, this is the year. Colts are going to win the division, and something happens. But this is the year. I think, the Colts finally do it. I think Matty Ice is going to – hopefully he's the answer. I don't think he's going to throw for insane numbers, but I think he's going to be more of a leader and kind of what this team needs. And I think he's going to be a really good game manager for him.
Yep.
You saw Carson Wentz last year. His stats were pretty good, but the dude just he wasn't it, and he crumbled under pressure and pretty much cost them a chance for the playoffs. So I think Matty Ice will be a good fit. A couple of things that scare me a little bit is there are some changes with this team. They lost Costanza, a couple of changes on the offensive line. They lost Zach Pascal, who had a pretty decent year last year in terms of catching the ball in the end zone. And I thought that I was surprised they didn't bring him back, especially with all the injuries that are around that receiving core. So letting him go was kind of a head scratcher. But and then on the defensive side, I mean, this is a solid defensive group. But again, they lost their safety this offseason. He retired to become a preacher, and that's Malik Hooker. So I think that's going to be a pretty big hit. But they reloaded with Gilmore, and they still got Blackman back there, who's young, and he'll definitely develop. And I'm pretty excited that they added a little bit more depth with their running back group and signing Philip Lindsay. I think that's a really, really good pickup.
Yep.
There were times where Hines just couldn't get it going. When Hines gets it going, he's fun to watch. But I think Philip Lindsay will be a good alternate when he can't get it going.
He's a great change of pace back for that.
Oh
team.
Yeah, I like him. I'm surprised he didn't really get a good look anywhere else.
Yeah, I mean, you saw it last year with the Texans late in the year. He was putting up some numbers, and they were moving the football a little bit. So I don't mind that Lindsay pickup there. Their current over-under at DraftKings is 10 wins, and they had the third easiest schedule. Minus 175 to make the playoffs. I mean, how do you not bet the over here in this division?
Right, and I think it does go over. Like you said, their division's a little weak, so I think 10 wins is pretty, or 11 wins is pretty attainable for this group. So yeah, I definitely like where they're sitting. I'm hoping, and I was hoping that they would sign a receiver.
That's exactly where I was leading that to. Yep.
And there's still some out there that they can, like Will Fuller would be a good stretch the field talent. But I know he's got all the injury baggage. Julio Jones is still out there. It'd be nice to see him coming back with Matty Ice.
I don't know how he's not on the team. I don't understand it.
I bet he does.
He's got to be, right? That makes too much sense. So I keep asking. I got my buddy at work who's a Colts fan, and I'm always like, when's Julio going to get signed? Come on. We need to get it. We need to get it going. But no, yeah. I agree there. I'm leaning. I'm very, very optimistic on this team this year with obviously Jonathan Taylor. The two running backs in this division, him and Derrick Henry. I looked at the lines today, plus 450 to lead the entire league in rushing for Jonathan Taylor, plus 650 for Derrick Henry. It's going to be one of those two.
Yeah.
We got to figure out who it is. I would lean Jonathan Taylor. He's just going to get an absolute stupid amount of workload. He obviously number one overall pick in fantasy. I'm ready to go with all on Jonathan Taylor this year.
I agree. I know his rushing yard total is really high. I was almost considering going under it.
It was like 1450. Yeah, 1450 and a half. That's a lot.
It is. And with the signing of Lindsay, like I'm not saying Lindsay's going to steal the show by any means, but I do think he kind of cuts in a little bit, which will be good. Yeah, towards down the stretch, he was running the ball all the time, so they might want to try to manage him a little bit more. And Paris Campbell might be a sneaky pick, fantasy wise too. This guy's plagued by injuries, but he has such a high ceiling that I hope he can stay healthy and show us what he's capable of. And again, we didn't talk about this, but they did lose Jack Doyle.
Yep.
So, and they went in the draft here and drafted a couple guys. So we'll see. Mo Alley Cox will be. I like watching him. Big basketball player.
Yep. What do you think of Michael Pittman, the second year receiver? I had him. He was my wide receiver 3 last year, and he was just a sleeper. I picked him up late.
Yeah, really good route runner, good hands. I mean, I like him. I think he can definitely emerge to be a number 1. It's just having the guy to get him the ball.
Yeah,
and I think having other receivers to complement him would help too.
Yeah, and it's Taylor's going to shoulder the load, but Matt Ryan is going to have to win them ball games for sure. They're going to have to find different ways to move the football down the field. Pittman, you're drafting pretty high this year, Michael Pittman. It just depends on if they do sign someone else, but I'm going to double down and make sure you got Pittman on your fantasy football team this year for sure.
Definitely.
All right. So that's who we think is going to win the AFC South.
You have any thoughts on that Alec Pierce kid from Cincy?
Oh, I didn't look at him. What do you got there?
I think he might be all right too. He was pretty good at Cincinnati last season, and they're pretty high on him. So maybe they like him a little bit too much where they're not going to sign anyone.
Right. Yeah, definitely could be the case. So we'll see how that goes with the Colts. We'll go to the team that I think finishes second, and that's the Tennessee Titans, the 2-time reigning AFC South champs. Are they going through some type of semi-rebuild? They shipped out A.J. Brown in the offseason. A stunning move in my eyes. I did not understand that.
Crazy.
And they got Treylon Burks on draft night, and he's had terrible OTAs and reports come out saying he's out of shape, dealing with asthma, all kinds of stuff. I still think he's going to be relevant. He's too good of a receiver not to be. But I think losing A.J. Brown is going to be huge for this team. Someone's going to have to fill those shoes. I don't know who it's going to be. They did get Robert Woods, which is a nice pickup. How he responds off his injury, that's yet to be seen. I still think he's going to catch a lot of balls this year. And they did pick up Austin Hooper, which I think is a very good pickup for him. Tannehill likes his tight ends. I think Hooper is going to be relevant in fantasy this year. But, man, Tannehill, he's a question mark for me. I don't know if I can trust him. I like his rushing floor because he does. He can make it happen with his legs. But I think he's gonna dump it off to Derrick Henry a lot. What do you think?
Yeah. I'm kind of with you on that. You have them second, and I'm leaning third. New receiving core. My confidence in Tannehill slipping. I think Derrick Henry will do what Derrick Henry does. Granted, if he stays healthy. I do like this defense. I think they're physical, they're tough, and I really like their head coach too.
Oh yeah,
I wish the Colts would have snagged him.
He comes from a winning tree.
Yeah,
with a Belichick, they understand the game. They know how to win ball games. That's why that over/under I think is at 9. That's a very good number.
It is.
I'm not touching it. If I had to pick a number or pick a side, I would actually go towards the under. But
you know what their strength of schedule is?
It's 12th. It's the 12th hardest. So and they're minus 110 to make the playoffs.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely doable, but again, I've been saying for the past couple of years, Colts were going to steal that number 1 seed. But
I think the Colts
feel weird about this team.
Colts have it this year. I think there's no question about it. The Colts, if they stay healthy, they're nobody's touching them. They win this division at least by 2 games.
Yeah.
But I think the Titans are good enough, better than these other 2 teams currently, to finish second. So on to the team that I think finishes third, who Sidekick thinks surprises the world and finished second, the Jacksonville Jaguars. I do like this team. I'm putting that on the record. I do like this offense. However, the defense just has to show me something. I was targeting both of these 2 teams, the Texans and the Jaguars, religiously in DFS. I mean, anybody who's playing against them, let's put one type of skill player in there. Let's stack this team or whatnot. But the Jaguars in season 2 of Trevor Lawrence, I think are going to take a big step forward. You know, Etienne's back from his preseason injury. They got Doug Peterson as a head coach instead of the shit show and Urban Meyer.
And they're pretty happy about that hire too.
Yeah. I mean, why would you not be?
Yeah.
Anything was better than last year because that was just a circus off the field. And then, you know,
I loved it.
Did you? I mean,
the Urban Meyer drama. Absolutely.
He's not one of my guys. No way. I don't think I'd even have a beer with Urban Meyer. No way.
I would for the story.
So their over-under win total is 6.5. So over is plus 110, under is minus 130. They have the 12th easiest schedule, plus 450 to make the playoffs. Are you even putting any money on the playoffs?
I don't know about playoffs, but I do think they sneak into that second spot. Their offseason was incredible. This is a really, really deep offensive group. Receiver-wise, they brought in Zay Jones, Marvin Jones, Christian Kirk. They got Chenault. Treadwell's there. And which is surprising that this guy's getting overlooked is James Robinson.
Yep.
I was really surprised that they went with Etienne last year just because of the year that Robinson had the year before.
They just don't want to trust him, even though he puts up numbers. Yeah, he puts up numbers, but I think he was undrafted. You know how those front office guys get it. If they're undrafted, they don't want to force the ball to them. They want to get their guys that they drafted and make sure that they look good. But another pickup that they did have was Evan Ingram as well. So, I mean, the skill players, they surrounded Trevor Lawrence with some good pieces. I think they paid way too much money to Christian Kirk, but that's for another day. So we'll see if Kirk and company do well here. I think Etienne is the back to own. I know we just talked about James Robinson. Etienne, his rushing, his receiving, it's going to be special. I don't think you get this kind of buzz last year without knowing how much of a beast he's going to be. Plus, they play together at Clemson, him and Lawrence, so they know each other. Him missing a year, I'm not too concerned. The main concern here, why I have them finishing third, is their defense. So this, again, might be a very good spot in DFS where we target the Jaguars. We stack both sides of that game just because I think they are going to be a lot more fast-paced than they were last year.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I think a lot of this relies on Trevor Lawrence.
Right.
If he can handle the shit, then this team's got the tools to advance pretty far. So
yeah. Two quarterbacks, Mac Jones, and then you got Trevor Lawrence. Let's see what both of them can do in year 2. All right, so we'll finish up with the Houston Texans. I don't know if anybody that I've seen articles on are very high on this team. I don't know how you could be high on this team. I think they're just in a constant, we don't want to win ever mode for the last several years. It's mind blowing. They are currently have their over-unders win total at 4.5, which 4.5 is hard to do. So plus 110 on the over, minus 120 on the under. I would love to say the over, but man, I don't even know where to start. They'd have the 5th toughest schedule. What do you think about the Texans?
What everyone else thinks about the Texans.
Is there any hope?
No. I mean, Their receiving core is not terrible. Brandon Cooks still pretty decent. Philip Dorsett is average. They went and got John Mechie in the draft.
Yep.
So I wonder how he's going to do.
Got Nico Collins, Chris Conley. I mean, these guys are just not proven it besides Brandon Cooks. And then they said, you know what? We're going to put all of our faith in Davis Mills. And that was a little bit more shocking. I thought, with all the Baker and everything like that, maybe they would have taken a chance on Baker. They said, screw it. We're going to roll with Davis Mills. Yeah, he had flashes last year of being good, but it was also just I feel like it was a lot of garbage time where he was able to throw it a little bit more than normal. Their running back, that they brought in Dameon Pierce. I think if you're in a dynasty league, you really like him. He's going to be the lead back eventually this season.
Maybe.
I know we have a biased Colts fan here that thinks Marlon Mack will be relevant. So
he's back.
We'll see. I think Mack and Burkhead are in the mix to start out, and I would think Dameon Pierce takes this backfield over.
I don't know if Marlon Mack gets going.
he
was good in it. I was upset when they drafted Jonathan Taylor. I'm not even gonna lie.
Wow.
Well,
You're still
because
mad?
Marlon Mack was
good.
In work. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He was good.
I'm glad they did. That's why I'm not in that spot.
So, all right. So that's the extent of the Texans. I don't know what else to tell you guys. They're a team that I'm not very high on. I don't want anybody, maybe besides Dameon Pierce or Brandon Cooks, on my fantasy football team. We'll see if there's another receiver that pops up. I didn't look at any of their prop totals because I didn't like. I'm just not going to. The only play that I'm potentially going to go after is Henry to have the most rush yards. So it was plus 650. So or lead the league in touchdowns at or is over on touchdowns. Sorry, over 13.5. So I think he's gotten 11, and then he had 11 and 18, and then he didn't have much last year because he got hurt. But I think he can get to that 14 or 15 mark this season. He's going to be their offense, plain and simple. They're going to give it to Derrick Henry whenever possible in the goal line. So that'd be the only one that I'm truly going to go after is targeting Derrick Henry. Like Sidekick was saying earlier, Taylor's rushing total number is very high. You could take the under. I don't know if that's that wouldn't be a comfortable under. I would be on myself.
I don't want to take it because I want him to to break the record. So
yeah, then you could always take Derrick Henry, see how for the total rushing yards in the season to lead the league. You could take Derrick Henry or Taylor first, and then kind of hedge each other throughout the season, something like that. But I'm not doing much of that. I'm just going to do the over 13.5 touchdowns for Derrick Henry.
I think a good look too for this division, since we're pretty confident on Colts finishing first, pretty confident in Texans finishing last. You can do exact order. You can do Colts first, Jacksonville second, Tennessee third, and then Houston fourth, and then you can flip the 2 and 3. And if you get the first and the last one right, you're going to make a little bit of money on it. So
yeah, which the first and last should definitely hit. I looked this morning, and the exact order: Colts, Titans, Jags, Texans is plus 260 on DK. So that's a little bit, I would say, pretty good value. Plus 260. It's not terrible. But I don't know what it was for the Jags. If the Jags got second, I think it jumped up to like maybe 400, 500.
I think it's more.
Is it more than that? Yeah.
It is. Sorry, they have a million things on here.
Oh yeah, trying to take everybody's money.
I think I saw it at plus 900.
Plus 900. So yeah, you definitely see.
Oh, there it is. Yep, plus 900 for
900. Wow.
For Jacksonville to finish second in that mix. So if you take it, you're gonna profit.
Yeah, you should.
You take
You definitely
both.
should. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'll stick with that Colts Texans Jags or Colts Titans Jags Texans for plus 260. So that's how we'll end it. Next show we will go over what we call our process of how we establish our bets. The following show will go over how we attack prop bets. And then we'll break down the NFC East as well. So we'll go over our process, how we go about it, and then we go over the crazy NFC East. I think that division is going to be very, very competitive, like it always is, but even more this coming year. So any final words, Side?
I'll just keep tuning in each week, supporting us as we grow. We definitely appreciate it. And if you have anything you want to talk about, definitely put it in there and we'll discuss it. Maybe it'll be a topic that we come on the show and handle too. So
yeah, we'd love to do some Q&As. If anybody wants to throw them in there, join the free Discord, hit us up on Twitter, or leave a comment on YouTube after you watch the video podcast. Throw it in there, and we'll discuss it next time on the show. So we appreciate you guys tuning in. As always, we'll be back.